எமது கட்சி ஒரு காலத்தில் இலங்கையர் எனும் அடையாளத்தை நம்பி ஸ்ரீலங்கா அரசாங்கங்களுடன் இணைந்து செயற்பட்ட கட்சியாகும். ஆனால் இலங்கையர் எனும் அடையாளம் என்பது தொடரும் சிங்கள பௌத்த மேலாதிக்கத்தை மூடி மறைக்கும் ஒரு மாய தோற்றம் என்ற உண்மையே வரலாறு எமக்கு சுட்டிக்காட்டியுள்ளது என்று தமிழ் தேசிய மக்கள் முன்னணியின் தலைவரும் நாடாளுமன்ற உறுப்பினருமான கஜேந்திரகுமார் பொன்னம்பலம் இன்று நாடாளுமன்ற உரையில் தெரிவித்துள்ளார். ஜனாதிபதி அனுரகுமார திசாநாயக்கவின் கொள்கை விளக்க உரைக்கு பதிலளித்து உரை நிகழ்த்தும் போதே கஜேந்திரகுமார் பொன்னம்பலம் இதனை தெரிவித்துள்ளார். நான் இங்கு அங்கம் வகிக்கின்ற அகில இலங்கை தமிழ் காங்கிரஸ் கட்சியானது இலங்கையர் எனும் அடையாளத்தை ஒரு காலத்தில் மிகவும் நம்பியிருந்தது. இந்நாட்டின் அரசாங்கங்களுடன் இணைந்து வேலை செய்தும் இருந்தது. அனைத்து இனக்குழுமங்களுக்குமான குறிப்பாக தமிழர்களின் இருப்பையும் அதற்கான பாதுகாப்பையும் உறுதிப்படுத்தும் இடத்து அனைவரையும் உள்ளடக்கியதான இலங்கையர் எனும் அடையாளம் என்பது இந்நாட்டுக்கு உகந்தது என்று நாம் நம்பியிருந்தோம். ஆனால் துரதிர்ஷ்டவசமாக இந்த நாட்டின் கடந்த 75 வருட வரலாறு எமக்கு சொல்லுவதாவது, இலங்கையர் எனும் அடையாளம் என்பது யதார்த்த அடிப்படையில் ஒரு சிங்கள பௌத்த இனவாத அடையாளத்தை மறைக்கும் ஒரு மாய தோற்றம் என்பதே ஆகும். ஏனைய இனக்குழுமங்களின் அடையாளங்களை உள்ளடக்காது அவர்களது அடையாளங்களை அகற்றி சிங்கள பௌத்த தேசியவாதமே இந்நாட்டில் இருக்கும் அரசியல் அடிப்படையாக இருக்கின்ற நிலைமையில் வெறுமனே இலங்கையர் எனும் அடையாளத்தை அனைவரும் ஏற்றுக்கொள்கின்றோம் என சொல்லுவதானது இருக்கின்ற நிலைமையை இன்னும் மோசமடைய செய்கின்ற கட்டமைக்கப்பட்ட ஒரு இனவாத உக்தியே ஆகும். தமிழர்களின் வரலாற்று பூர்வீக வாழ்டங்கள் திட்டமிட்ட வகையில் அரச கட்டமைப்பினால் ஆக்கிரமிக்கப்பட்டு இனப்பரம்பல் மாற்றியமைக்கப்பட்டு தமிழர்களின் அடையாளங்கள் அளிக்கப்பட்டு வருகின்ற நிலையில் அதற்கு எதிராக தம்மை பாதுகாக்க புறப்பட்ட மக்களின் குரலை இனவாதம் என சொல்வதுதான் உண்மையில் இனவாதமாகும் என்று நாடாளுமன்ற உறுப்பினர் கஜேந்திரகுமார் பொன்னம்பலம் தனது உரையில் தெரிவித்துள்ளமை குறிப்பிடத்தக்கது.
I thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker. I would like to take this opportunity on congratulating you and members of the government for having won an unprecedented mandate. I think it is fully well deserved. I would also like to remind members of this House that I think it is the NPP party in the last parliament and our party that refused to speak to the President Ranil Wickremesinghe's government because we believed that he did not have a mandate. So when we consider the words of President Anurakumara Disanayake with regards to democracy or the lack of it in the past and his references to that term whilst he made his policy statement, I would like to remind him that our party was one that stood consistently along with the NPP in refusing to engage with a government that we believed was a rogue government that did not have a mandate. I would like to particularly welcome Honorable Deputy Speaker the President's following comments. He says on page 1 of his speech, it's the English speech that I'm reading from, I also acknowledge that there are communities that did not trust us but instead placed their faith in other political movements. The essence of democracy lies in the coexistence of diverse political ideologies and groups. Our government and I are committed to fulfilling the needs and aspirations of the citizens of every community, both those who voted for us and those who did not. I make specific reference, Honorable Deputy Speaker, to those three paragraphs because subsequently he goes on to say this, which is a very important part of his policy and this government's policy, which is we will not allow ethnic based politics in our country. Similarly, we will not tolerate religious extremism. We are a people who have suffered enough from ethnic conflict. Now I make that particular reference because I believe there is a possibility of a contradiction with regards to the first 3 paragraphs that I quoted and this particular paragraph. Now, President Anurakumara Disanayake during the campaign and the NPP have made it quite clear that they are against racism. And the terms that they use with regards to racism is nationalistic politics and religious extremism. Those are the general terms that are being used. Now, I would like to remind the President and the government that our party, the All Ceylon Tamil Congress, which I represent in Parliament, and the Tamil National People's Front, the All Ceylon Tamil Congress, which is the oldest Tamil political party in Sri Lanka, believed in a Sri Lankan identity. We were a party that believed in working with the governments of the day. We joined governments. Our leader, G.G. Ponnambalam, became a cabinet minister. And we believed in fully cooperating. As long as the Tamil identity was protected, we felt that a Sri Lankan all-encompassing identity is what is best for Sri Lanka. But unfortunately, if you look at the 76-year history of this country, that Sri Lankan identity has been just a facade for what is essentially a Sinhala Buddhist, almost a racist identity. To simply say that we are all Sri Lankan in a country where Sinhala Buddhism, Sinhala Buddhist nationalism has become the mainstay of politics, to the exclusion of all other identities, to the exclusion of all. I say it very particularly because in the previous government also, in the previous parliaments also, this notion of racism was spoken. Mahinda Rajapaksa spoke of racism. It is Gotabaya Rajapaksa spoke of racism, and that we shouldn't accept it. But their version of racism was when the Tamil people, after 75 years of distinct racism against the Tamil people, where we have been disenfranchised, where our lands have been grabbed, where the ethnic composition of the Northeast has been systematically tampered with, where colonization took place. Even today, just before this government coming into power, colonization schemes were taking place in the east. If I am to mention a few, in Batiklo, if you take Batiklo, Mailatham and Madhavane, areas where there is a distinct colonization project that was going on, in Vavuniya, in the north of Vavuniya. So, to talk in terms of racism when the Tamils have brought up the issues that we have faced for over 75 years, in being deliberately targeted in areas that we have historically habited, where our ethnic composition has been systematically changed, altered by the state policies, and when we rebel against those policies of the state, there is a potential for this last paragraph that His Excellency mentions to be also coined by this government as racism. So I would like clarifications, because you see, after 75 years of systematic anti-Tamilness in the Northeast, which is our areas of historical habitation, when we talk of our discrimination and the racism that has been meted out against us, to simply say that we must not talk about Tamil, Sinhalese, we must talk of Sri Lankan, is to simply erase that history of discrimination, of racism that has been meted out for 75 years against the Tamil people. It is a systematic racism. For example, Honorable Deputy Speaker, in the Human Rights Council, in the UN, Prince Zaid, who was the Human Rights High Commissioner, made it a point. He said that Sri Lanka cannot have an internal inquiry, an entirely internal inquiry for accountability, because of the ethnic conflict, because of the history of the ethnic conflict for over 35 years, that the institution of government have been so corrupted that they cannot deliver justice, particularly in an ethnic conflict sense. So these are important realities that we must address if we are to ever genuinely create security for all ethnicities, security for the Tamil people in particular who believe that they have been...
Honourable Member, you have 1 more minute.
Who they believe have been discriminated against, and without doing that, to simply say that we must only talk in terms of a Sri Lankan identity is going to make matters worse. I would also, since I have such little time, mention one more thing. I think the whole of today we spoke in terms of the Prevention of Terrorism Act. Honorable Deputy Speaker, memorialization of the Tamil people with regards to the LTTE cadres who have died, as well as the Tamil people who lost their lives, is identical, is no different from the JVP's memorialization. There cannot be any difference. Both those armed struggles were silenced by the state. And both those armed struggles were legitimate. There were legitimate reasons why people were forced to take up arms. That is where we come from. So without addressing those legitimate reasons and finding solutions, to simply allow one as completely unbanned and being allowed to commemorate, whereas the other to have certain restrictions, I don't believe is fair. Especially because those restrictions are based on a circular that came into being in 2011. The very same government that your present government calls a racist government. So when that government has come up with a circular that is today being applied with regards to how you can commemorate or the restrictions with regards to commemoration, I think it is completely unfair, and I strongly urge this government to put that mistake right. I also would like to say that the PTA must not
Honourable
be
Member,
used
your
at
time is
all,
up.
not only in the northeast but also in the south. There are provisions within the penal code, there are provisions between various other legal instruments that the police and other authorities can use. The PTA certainly is not one of them, and it is important because the police use the PTA as a weapon. They use it to prevent bail. They use it to punish before you can even face justice. And that must be completely not allowed, Honourable Deputy Speaker. In that sense, I would urge my good friend, the Minister of Justice, is someone I go back a long way. We were in bar school together in London. I know him in a totally different incarnation. We won't talk about that in this house. So I certainly have a lot of trust in him. I have a lot of respect for him. I know that he's certainly not a member who can be categorized as communal-minded or as having a strong Sinhala Buddhist nationalist bias. And I would urge him to look into this matter, as well as the question of Tamil political prisoners. There are 9 who still continue to be incarcerated. I would urge for you to release them as early as possible. I would like to mention one individual. He's a member called Morris. He's known as Morris. I think the Honourable President knows him. I think the Honourable Vijitha Herath knows him. He has been transferred without any reason from the Colombo magazine prison to Hambantota. And that was a victimization because the person previously made the transfer and retired. There is no reason
Member,
whatsoever for that
up.
transfer. I would urge you to have an inquiry with regards to that. Thank you.